This is the Orchestra Teacher Podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast. Dr. Charles Laux here, and this is our episode number 125. This is our second episode of 2026, and I'm really excited to share the stage today with my good friend and just an amazing human being, Sheldon Fisher. Sheldon, thank you so much for being here in the studio and part of the podcast. It's going to be great to have you today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. We have known each other a few years.
That's right.
Not as long as our entire careers,
No.
but the time that we have known each other, from the first time you have become a dear friend.
Yes,
So,
same. I feel the same way. And
thank you.
Sheldon has an amazing history in a career in the orchestra classroom. And so just tell us a little bit about, I know it spans 50 years.
Yeah.
50 years teaching, like crazy.
49.
49.
It's okay. 40 full-time years and then 9 part-time.
Wow. Okay.
In my last 9 years. So,
Wow.
Anyhow, back in the beginning, I went to college at Southwestern. At the time, it was Southwestern State College in Weatherford, Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. Okay? And during those years, it became Southwestern Oklahoma State University.
Okay.
Okay? And it was known for producing a lot of band directors and a lot of choir directors.
Okay. So you were one of the, you ended up coming from not the string world.
Right.
Right.
I grew up in a small town of Oak Keene, Oklahoma, 1,200 people if you count the jackrabbits and rattlesnakes. Okay?
Yeah.
So anyhow, while I was in college, of course, we find out as instrumental people that you have to take all 4 of the orchestral instrument classes.
Yeah.
So I tried to weasel out of strings.
Oh, wow.
Okay. The department chair was going to allow me to take guitar class.
Okay.
My advisor said, no way.
No way.
And that was Dr. Ed Williams, who had also played in a major symphony orchestra as an oboist. He was my bassoon instructor. I'm a bassoon and piano major.
Awesome.
By trade. He said, tell you what, do you one better than 16 weeks of a string class? He said, this summer, we're going to have a 4-day seminar on strings. Come to that for the 4 days, and that'll count as your string credit.
Perfect.
Well, my math skills are pretty good. 4 days, 12 weeks. Yeah, let's do the 4 days. Little did I know what was about to happen to me and about 19 other of my wind and percussion classmates.
Yeah.
And the 3 people that happened to us were Casey Creekbaum from North Olmsted, Ohio, had one of the top orchestra programs in the country at the time. Jackie Dillon, okay, legend, in the field for a number of years, and a author of a particular method by the name of Fred Muller.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
The old Muller Rush method.
That's a great book.
And of course,
Still is.
That is what I learned under.
Yeah.
And by the end of those 4 days, there were 20 of us that decided we needed to learn how to teach strings.
Fantastic.
So Southwestern developed a course of study for the non-string playing string teacher.
Awesome.
Thankfully,
Right.
They did that. The department chair, Dr. Jurens, saw the interest there, and he wanted to keep us all on track. So we did that, okay? And my senior year, I actually got to assist teaching the string class with my advisor.
Wow. Very cool.
And so we had the Jackie Dillon, had the Jackie Dillon Rose in college and all of that. Going around, I love going up to the big burly guys that were, had trouble with hand positions and helping them move their hands and all of that. But that's where I got my first experience. Then came reality. Going out looking for a job. Okay?
Yeah.
I interviewed in the state of Texas and Oklahoma for 6 different string jobs.
Okay.
I was always in the top 2, but it always went to the person who had grown up playing a string instrument.
That's tough to swallow. Like, you probably got really frustrated.
Yeah. Really did, but I thought, okay, My wife still has a year of college to go. There was a job that opened up at Hinton, Oklahoma for a band director. So it said. So high school band was grades 7 through 12.
Yeah.
Beginner band was 5th and 6th grade combined. So you had kids with a year of experience.
Wow.
The rest of my day was one 4th grade general music class.
Okay.
A 7th grade mechanical drawing class. Thank goodness.
Mechanical drawing.
I had 18 hours of architectural engineering in my electives. I didn't take underwater basket weaving or advanced tiddlywinks. I took, because had I not gone into music, I would have gone into engineering, because that was my other passion and love.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, 8th grade history.
Oh.
And the real kicker, junior high girls PE.
Wow.
This was a big basketball town, and the girls' PE class were all the girls who did not want to play basketball or do anything else.
Wow. Okay.
They became my flag corps for the marching band.
Perfect.
So I had a built-in class every day for that.
That's amazing.
So anyhow, still wasn't teaching strings yet.
Yeah.
And next to the last day of school, I get a phone call from my advisor over in Weatherford. That was only 30 minutes away.
Okay.
Said, I just noticed a posting for a marching band director job at Jenks, Oklahoma. Said, you wrote a lot of the shows your junior and senior year for the college marching band. This could be right up your field. And it was like the 12th largest school in the state at the time.
Okay.
Hinton was the same size as the town I grew up in. Okay.
And it was a small town.
Very small town. Okay. So anyhow, I was able to get an interview the next morning, had to drive over. The principal actually took my classes for the day on the last day of school so I could go do the interview. I was the 40th candidate.
Wow.
The least amount of experience. And yet, I ended up with the job.
Wow.
The Orchestra Teacher Podcast is proudly sponsored by Kaiser Productions, home to Lauren Kaiser Music, Edwin F. Kalmus, Southern Music, Ludwig Masters, and E.B. Marks. Kaiser Production publishes music and resources to teach, inspire, and honor a tradition of excellence. Their catalog has a wealth of titles for full and string orchestra, string, solo, and ensemble repertoire by composers such as Lynn Latham, George Walker, and William Bolcom. On top of this foundation, they develop exciting and carefully selected new publications for all levels. So whether you're looking for timeless classics or your next contest piece, visit kaiserproductions.com. That's Keiser productions.com.
And for about 2 years, I wondered, how did I get that job? And then at the beginning of the 3rd year, the superintendent called me in. He said, I bet you've probably been wondering how you got this job. I said, every day for the last 2 years, sir. He said, well, you are the only candidate that had any type of orchestral experience or string pedagogy in your transcript.
And that helped you get the band job.
He said, for 25 years, I have wanted an orchestra program in this school. He said, go forth, build my orchestra program. After I proved myself as a teacher with the marching band.
That's really awesome.
There, at that. So, for the next 6 years, I'm doing double duty. I'm doing orchestra and marching band.
Wow.
Now, comes the fun part. Okay? Remember the method I said I grew up on in college was the Mueller-Rush method?
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I knew. I didn't know anything. All for Strings had come out by that point.
That was a great book.
And it was a great book, but I had no idea. But I knew this. The band program at Jenks was one of the best around.
Okay.
And so I went with what I knew they were doing to make it a great program. Scales, arpeggios, rhythms, every day for warm-ups. The only book that I could find all of that in for all the string players was an old, even more antiquitous book called The Fussell Book.
Oh, I don't even know that one.
Yeah. It's the one that bands have used for decades, up until all the new stuff has come out. They had a viola version of it.
Wow. Okay.
But you could use it for all, and it had third exercises, it had fourths, it had slur exercises in it.
But it was like treble clef instruments, and then like B flat instrument. It was it was made for everything.
Right.
Okay.
And there was a code that you would use for your instrument that if the director called out a B flat major scale, then for your instrument you would go to this one.
Wow.
And treble clef stuff like that. Okay.
Wow.
Great little book. So, as the orchestra world has been, I find lots of friends there, and so I started attending in the Tulsa area, the local meetings that are going on. So I'm there, and so they know me as the new orchestra teacher, but I'm a band director, and
Right.
I say, well, what methods are you using? And I talk to them about Mower Rush, and they say, well, have you heard of All for Strings? And I said, no, I haven't, but I'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
And they said, well, what are you using for scales and stuff like that? And I said, the Fussell book. And there was dead silence in the room. And then the laughter started. I mean, not just giggling behind it, belly laughing. You're using a band book? I said, well, it's all I know for the scales and arpeggios. I said, that's where I found everything.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny that the next spring when we went to our performance evaluation, and my first orchestra that I took at the junior high level came out not with ones, not with twos, but straight 1+.
1+. Okay.
Across the board.
That's
from all
great.
three judges. The next day, my phone rang off the wall saying, what was the name of that book?
That's funny. Yep.
So it kind of went from there. And then several years later, a good friend in the marching band world, Bob Costello, who was teaching at Enid, Oklahoma, only 30 miles from my hometown,
Okay.
called me up and said, you know, our orchestra teacher is leaving. Would you like to come over and just do all orchestra? He had to call me 3 times. I actually turned it down. Finally took the job and went over to do all orchestra in that program.
Okay.
And for those
after that, you had done band for how many years?
that was total of 9 years
Okay.
of band.
Okay.
When
And
I
then-
left the band field.
Wow.
Okay. But by that point, I was judging band contests
Sure.
because I was no longer in the band field.
Yeah.
And there was no conflict of interest.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So anyhow, I went over to Enid, and it was somewhat in a rebuilding state over there. And I met Sue Trombley, who has taught here in the area in Cobb County for a number of years.
Okay. I don't think I knew Sue.
And she actually taught at Simpson Middle School.
Oh, okay.
Okay. She taught at Simpson, and her husband Max actually taught at Haynesbridge as the band director.
Okay.
When they moved out here. And every Christmas night, Sue would call me and say, you know, Sheldon, they got a lot of orchestra positions out here. You really need to consider moving your family out here. Every Christmas, Sue would do that.
Wow. And how many years did it take you to move to Georgia
And
after that?
it was about 8 years.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, about 8 years before.
Then she finally got you out here.
Right. And she finally got me out here. And essentially what happened in Oklahoma, and I hate this for the teachers of Oklahoma, but Oklahoma is still 49th in the nation in teacher pay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I hate to say I did it for money, but a lot of it was just to stay afloat and be able to provide for my family.
Well, that's a huge thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we love our jobs, we love our profession, and but we also have to be realistic.
So, and on Christmas Day of 1995, my dad knew that I was looking because my supervisor, Ann Strong, had come to me in August and said, Sheldon, the superintendent's going to do away with the elementary orchestra program. And I was doing all elementary at that time.
Oh, wow.
That's where my heart is.
Right.
I love teaching elementary. So much fun. And so anyhow, I'd been looking, I'd been talking to my dad about it. And he had had congestive heart failure. And we knew he only had a few months left and all of that. And on Christmas Day, as we're going to my house, he has me pull off side of the road and he says, look, I know you stayed here in Oklahoma all these years so the kids will know their grandkids. But he says, if a job opportunity comes up and you don't take it out of state, you're going to find my boot where the sun doesn't shine.
Yeah.
Okay? That night, he passed.
Oh, wow.
So it was like my dad's final words.
Yeah. You need to go do it. Yeah.
And so I really needed to go do that.
Wow.
So they rang strong on my ear. And I had 4 opportunities. One in Clark County, Nevada.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marsh Cagney Neal burned up that phone line trying to get me out there.
That's my first, What year was that?
1996.
We would have that was when I started. We would have actually started in Las Vegas the same year had you moved.
Oh my goodness. So, and then there was an opportunity, I think it was in Peoria, Illinois, and then Bob Culver at University of Michigan had talked with me about coming out to do a PhD program.
Okay.
And there would have been a tuition waiver, but no way to pay for housing.
Right, yeah.
So, and then of course here in Fulton County, this was the best of all the jobs. And so
that's where you've been ever since.
That's where I've been ever since for that. So I did 20 years in Oklahoma, 20 years out here.
Wow, that's amazing.
So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
So when you moved here to the Atlanta area, you were at several schools, but to tell us about a little bit about the school that you got to open and where you finished your full time.
Certainly. I'll get to Alpharetta here in a minute.
Okay.
One of the reasons that I was brought out here, Sharon Anderson, who was one of the department chairs at the time, had sing my Strolling Strings group from Oklahoma City called the Silver Strings of Putnam City. We had traveled across the country, done a European tour for the 50th. We got chosen as the orchestra to play at the 50th commemoration of D-Day.
Oh, wow.
10,000 people, and the keynote speaker was the admiral who led the fleet across the English Channel.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
Anyhow, we had a little bit of a reputation out there, and she wanted me to start a similar program out here.
Cool.
And so at that time, Webbridge Middle School was a brand new school. Sharon took that.
Got it.
And I walked into Sandy Springs Middle School, where she had been.
Okay.
For all of that, with Spalding Drive Elementary, so there was an elementary component to it too. So I still got to do all that. So I was there 4 years, and then Jim Moody and I'm going to go blank here for just a minute. I'm ashamed I can't remember the director who was at North Springs for a number of years. They both retired in 2000. Okay, and those two positions came up. I got the job at Roswell, but they were going to split the position because Jim Moody had been doing both the band program and the orchestra.
Okay.
I walk in for the interview with the principal, and I thought I had it hidden deep enough in my resume about my band experience. And I walk in and he says, well, as I see here, I'm only going to need to do one interview because you have band experience. And I stood up and I said, Mr. Newhall, sir, with all due respect, if we're talking about doing both programs, interview is over. And I got up and started to walk out. He said, come back, you can't blame me for trying.
You just want,
Yeah. So I was at Roswell for 4 years. And then in my 4th year there, while I was attending Midwest, I got a phone call on my cell phone while I was on the train headed downtown to Midwest. My son was attending college at that time in Chicago.
Oh, in Chicago. Okay.
Yeah. And so it was the principal of the brand new Alpharetta High School. And he said, sounds like you're on a train. I said, well, yes, sir, I am. He told me who he was. He said, you wouldn't be attending Midwest by any chance, would you?
Yeah.
And I said, well, yes, sir, I am. He said, well, I got a brand new school I'm opening up, and I just have one question for you. How soon can you get my orchestra to Midwest?
Wow, that's a big ask.
Yeah. We tied the record for new schools, I believe it was.
Oh, wow, okay, I didn't know that.
Tim O'Quinn at Northview, when he opened Northview, made it in his third year.
Okay.
We made it in our third year.
Wow.
Same year you took Winter Park.
That's right. Yeah, we had our
2006.
paths crossed back in 2006, but we didn't really know each other then very well.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew of you and you may know of me, but it's pretty funny. Yeah, that we played the same year.
Yeah.
You had a string orchestra that year, and I had a full orchestra.
Right.
Yes.
That was Dr. Burke, who opened Alpharetta High School. When I went for the interview, he said, I've already talked with the band director that I want. You have worked with him before. You two get along very well. But he says, know this. You two are going to put a full symphony orchestra together. He said, this school will have a full symphony orchestra.
That's great to have an admin like that who, has a vision. And knows enough to know what a full orchestra is and all that. I mean,
well, he had been trained well.
Right.
Because he was the principal from Chattahoochee High School.
Okay, so they had a history of great.
Jim Palmer trained him well.
Yeah, that's right.
And Perry Holbrook.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
So both Perry and Jim had, he knew where he was headed with all
and what
of
he
that.
and what he wanted. That's
So
very good.
we did ask him, though, if we could have a couple of years to build each program separately before we combined them.
Sure.
However, the combining of the winds and strings happened sooner than we expected. He came and asked me if the orchestra would play for graduation, the string orchestra. Mm-hmm. And Mike and I had been friends for a long time, and I knew how hard he was working to get those wind players up to, at that time, the strings were playing at a little higher level than what the winds and percussion were. Okay, and Mike and I have talked about this, so I'm not saying anything. Okay,
right.
Yeah, and so I said, Dr. Burke, can you give me a couple of days to give you the answer on that? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I went to Mike and I said, okay, Mike, what literature can we do for graduation where we can combine both kids? I said, Dr. Burke has asked the strings.
Yeah,
I don't feel comfortable doing it without the winds. Mm-hmm. So we put the graduation program together. I took it to Dr. Burke and I said, Dr. Burke, you said you wanted a full symphony orchestra. How about we premiere it at graduation?
That was cool.
And so the rest of that is kind of history. As you know, when you followed me, we put, 140, 150 kids on the stage at that amphitheater for graduation.
But by the time before COVID, the last time it was over 200. It was 225 maybe. It was gigantic.
So it became a tradition.
Right.
And a part of that, too, was by that time we had students who were writing, who were into the composing mode. Mm-hmm. And so there's two students that come to mind right here, Micah David, and there's one who has now studied at Michigan State University. He's working on his doctorate in composition.
Oh, wow.
He went to Kennesaw State first.
Wow.
And they had both written compositions in tribute to their senior class. Mm-hmm. Nick Felder, that's who it was.
Oh, Nick, Nick's great.
Nicholas.
I didn't realize he was there doing his doctorate now. Wow.
And so anyhow, they got to premiere their works with the full symphony orchestra at graduation. And we worked with them as conductors so they could conduct their own pieces on the premiere.
That's pretty awesome.
So for Mike and I, but through my whole career, it has always been about the students.
Sure.
Before, a mission statement was a mission statement, okay, I sat down and I said, okay, if I'm going to do this as my career, why? Why am I doing this? And the little thing I wrote out that I still have in my file at home is...
Are you tired of the same old performance trip? Well, if that's the case, I highly recommend you check out Kaleidoscope Adventures. Whether your orchestra wants to perform in New York City, take in the music scene in Nashville, or experience the culture of New Orleans, maybe even travel abroad to places like London or Ireland, Kaleidoscope Adventures will build a trip that fits your program perfectly. Click the link in the show notes below or visit mykatrip.com to start planning today.
Helping parents produce responsible, productive citizens.
That's awesome.
Very simple.
Right.
And you know what's kind of weird about that? One of our principals along the way, and I'm not even going to say what school it is, when this principal, asked me about what my purpose in teaching was, I read that statement to this principal. And I'm purposely not even putting a gender with this. And that principal told me, said, well, that is not what teaching is all about. And I kind of did this thing right here without putting my hands up. This principal said, I don't really agree with that. And I said, well, that is my purpose.
Yeah.
And I said, if you need to find another orchestra teacher, I really wasn't looking for one when I found this one, but
yeah. Wow.
So anyhow,
that's an awesome
philosophy. Now I will say, in this principal's defense, several years later, this principal came to me and said, I see what you're all about now.
There you go. Okay. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of time, because there's always going to be people who doubt you. Yeah. And there's always going to be people who don't understand you and what you're really about. But sometimes it takes a little while for them to come around and figure it out. But that's really great.
And one of the things through the years too was overcoming a stigma or a fear that I didn't grow up playing strings. Okay? Because I always kind of had that fear. Matter of fact, when I started the orchestra program at Jenks, every afternoon I would pull out my violin and start to practice, and my string players would go running. I was a lot worse than I am now on that.
Yeah.
But anyhow,
what were some of the besides learning to play the instruments and learning about them? What were some of the things that you feel like you did that helped you become a better teacher?
The best instructor I had in college was the department chair, who had told me that he was going to let me take guitar class in place of strings. That's probably his only mistake along the way. Okay. But every music education major had to take his music administration class.
Okay.
First day we walked in, he said, first thing you need to buy when you walk out of here is a large carrying file for putting, and put a lot of hang files in it because you're going to be getting a lot of material.
Yeah.
And so every day we walked into class, we would cover some topic in music education that needed to be covered, whether it was clarinet fingerings or whether it was, when your flute gets into this range, the type of adjustments you need to make. When we got to the final exam, the day before, he said, now all you need to do is bring that file with you. He said, I will have 200 questions on here for 2 hours.
Wow.
You don't have to write the answer to the question. All you have to tell me is where in your file that's located.
Wow.
Now, of course, today we have that little device that we carry with us that
has everything on it. Yeah.
Has everything on it. But back in the mid-1970s.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I even have conference handouts that are, paper format, and I'm like, okay, I need to get these scanned. I need to put them in my scanner and let them feed through so I can have digital archives of some of these really great, resources.
Oh, let's talk about conferences for a minute.
Okay.
His final words as we departed out of that class is, I better see you at every conference there is, all the way through your career. Because he says, this field is changing on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And you need to know, he said, what you have learned here from some of your professors and some of your private instructors may have told you this is the only way to do this. He says, I'm telling you, it is not the only way to do it. There will always be different ways, newer ways, better ways to accomplish the same thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I owe so much to ASTA conferences, state conferences, Midwest. I mean, like you get so valuable what you get from those.
Probably the turning point in my orchestra career was the first summer that I attended what was the National String Workshop up in Madison, Wisconsin.
Oh, in Madison, okay.
Okay, up in Madison. It's where I met Georgia Economo and, several others from there and others that, I have known now for a number of years. But, and then much like the Ohio State ASTA Summer Conference, which was started a little bit later, and they developed it a lot from what was going on there because Dr. Gillespie was at those, besides Bob Culver, Bob Phillips, all of the really greats of our day growing up, and all of that. They had a track for the non-string playing string teacher. And all of the string teachers there were so willing and open to say, as you left the conference, here's my phone number. If you need to know anything, give me a call. And so I have lifelong friends, from that. And of course, the workshop that happened right after that was really my forte. They were back-to-back workshops. And that was the Strolling Strings workshop.
Oh, wow.
With Stanley Nosel.
And where was that?
That was the same place.
Oh, okay.
So we just stayed over.
Wow.
Stayed over and went to that. And there were as many people at that. And what I found out at that time, that there were, I believe it's 8 of us, and what I had been using in the classroom, I kept as a deep, dark secret because I didn't want anybody to know after I had been laughed at so hard
about the
Fussell book. I had grown up watching the Grand Ole Opry. I loved fiddle playing. Absolutely. Unequivocally. And so a lot of the things that I would tell my kids or teach my kids, I did through fiddling technique on that. And there's a lot
of great things there.
It worked really, really well. And I found out that Bob Phillips was doing the same thing. A gentleman up in Hershey, Pennsylvania, there were 2 or 3 ladies in Wisconsin that were doing that. And so there were, and I'm sure there's probably more out there.
Oh, for sure.
But at that time, I found out, so and what I found out was, instead of, I hate to call it Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, and that group right there as the only way to go, I found out that if you meet the kids where they are, give them something really enjoyable, and then use that avenue to get to where they need to be.
I mean, that's motivation, right? That's how we get kids to do all the crazy things we want them to do.
Absolutely.
Right.
And as I wrote, I made a Facebook post about 4 weeks ago. And Lindsay Sterling had posted her pre-show warm-ups. Where she lays on her back, playing scales, does leg lifts like I do in the gym. Leg stretches.
But she's playing,
But she's playing. Oh, you need to look this up. It is great.
I did see that. It's good.
And I posted it to all of my former students, and I said, you're probably pretty lucky I didn't know Lindsay Sterling back in your day, or that's what we would have been doing in our classroom.
That's funny.
Because right now, I mean, she's at the top of her game. Just amazing. I show people videos of her, and they're just going, oh, who is this?
I don't know how she can move like that while she's playing.
Well, and it's kind of funny. I don't know if you know what happened to her, but she was on America's Got Talent.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Simon gonged her, took her off the stage, pulled her over to the side, and said, there is no market for dancing and playing the instrument on stage.
Wow. And he was pretty wrong.
Well, that was her motivation to prove him wrong.
Well, she did.
So
she did.
Anyhow, that's kind of where it went, and I retired from Alpharetta High School in 2016. Okay.
And I have a story because, as he mentioned already, I took over for you, and I was at the university, and then you knew that I was kind of wanting to get back into the public school classroom, and you invited me to come out that day, and I asked if I could come observe a day, and he said, no, you have to come out and teach today. I'm like, okay, I can do that too. So I came out and taught the day, and one of the assistant principals at the time was coming in to do his evaluation, and it was kind of a surprise. You didn't know that was happening, and so instead of evaluating you, she was there watching me teach and taking notes and kind of figuring it out, and I was just like, whatever. And you worked your magic with trying to make that cover work and everything. Like, this is why he's here.
Yeah.
As far as, I think it was having to do with intonation. And
It was. What I have told every one of my principals since the first day I started teaching, they've all said, now we're going to announce when we come in and evaluate you. Mm-hmm. And my question was, why?
Yeah.
Why would you tell me that? I said, on my worst day of teaching, if I can't pull it off and make something happen for the kids, I don't need to be teaching. Wow. And so I said, please, don't let me know.
Don't tell me.
Do not and I did that all the way through my career up to when I retired.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the assistant principal who was our evaluator for those years, Rebecca Perkins, well, she's remarried since then.
Yes, wonderful.
And she came in, and whenever, we were going through the TEKS evaluation, she would call us in ahead of time, and she had said, in this area of TEKS, it says XYZ. What will that look like in an orchestra classroom?
Good that they ask you.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of principals that will come in and say, well, this doesn't meet this, but they don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, Rebecca was fabulous with that. Of course, now she went on to do a principal job at Webbridge and now is in higher administration at the building. Thank you for putting somebody there who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so anyhow, well, I knew enough in TEKS that we use data. It's a data-driven system, and you use the data you receive to help improve your students.
Right.
So for this particular class, we just had a bugaboo of a year trying to get intonation. Okay? Every trick I had known for all those years just wasn't working. And I thought, you know what? Just up the street, there's somebody who did his doctoral degree on intonation.
That's my dissertation.
Ta-da!
Yeah.
Okay? And so I called him in. When I saw Rebecca walk in with her computer, I knew what she was getting ready to do. So I go up to Charles and I say, I've already seen you do this in first period. Can we co-teach this? And so, Rebecca had come in. She said, do I need to come back at another time? I said, no. I said, this is a perfect time because this is a data-driven lesson.
Yeah.
And this is what the feedback we got from LGPE. I'm using the data to solve the problem.
That's right.
And so we co-taught it.
Yeah.
Back and forth. And of course, her question when I went in for my review at the end of the day was, is he available?
Well, it turned out, I went through the process and did the interview and everything, and I got the job mid-April, and his last concert that he at the school that he opened was the next week, and he said, I'd like you to come to the concert. I said, okay, I'll be there. And he said, no, you have to wear your tuxedo. And I was like, okay. And so the most gracious thing I think I've ever witnessed of a person going from one job and handing that off to another person is at the final piece with the full orchestra was they always did Pirates of the Caribbean medley, right? And this one particular, before the last section, the cellos and basses came down in cadence on the low A. And he said, here's the plan. He said, I'm going to hold that note, and you're going to walk out on stage while the cellos and basses are holding that low A, and I'm going to hand you the baton, and you're going to finish the piece. And my goodness, I don't think it's still making me tear up a little bit. It's just like one of the most unforgettable experiences that I've had as a teacher. Just the fact that you were willing to do that because you wanted the parents' blessing of the new teacher, and you wanted the kids' blessing of the new director. And I think that it just speaks volumes as to what you do and how you work. And wow, yeah.
Well, thank you, Charles. But that also, I learned that as a lesson along the way, because I had gone into a school system where they treated me as the evil person.
Oh, sure.
Because the other person had chosen to leave.
Yeah.
And I know what that felt like. I knew what that was. And I never, ever wanted anybody to have to follow me and go through that. I wanted to make transitions as smooth and seamless. Again, because it's all about the students. And if the students don't have an easiness about who's coming in, so I tried to make it as comfortable as possible.
Well, I mean, it doesn't get any more gracious than that, I will say. That was the most gracious thing that anyone could have ever done, taking over a new position. And wow, like it was, I had no problems.
That's great.
I didn't have any problems with parents or kids or
you
anything,
better not
really.
have, or I'd have.
Right. I mean, it was just they understood that you had done your time and you were ready to move on and do a little bit less. And for me, it was a great way for me to get back into the classroom, which I wanted to do after being at the university for a while. And wow, yeah, and it was just very rewarding. And I love that school, and I still do.
That's right.
I still do. Yeah.
But it's hard to not take up the opportunity where your next school is just a few blocks away from where you live.
And so and that's where I am now. Is it was I'm 4 miles and about 8-minute drive from my current school, and on the same schedule calendar wise as my kids, and so and you can't ever get back time,
right?
And
that's one of the things that, since I have known Charles, that I really, really admire about him. For all you young teachers out there, okay? Make time for the most important people in your life, your family. You've got to make time for them. He coached Little League baseball for his kids, and of course, they're not Little League anymore.
They're getting big.
But take time to do things with your family for that, because they are your greatest support system when you need it. As I listen to some of the other podcasts on there, and I hear about some of the frustrations that people had, it was stopping, pausing, and okay, deep breath. Let's go in and tackle this. And that right there. And probably the other greatest piece of advice I received. Then, of course, my department chair in college had always told us also, I'll see you at all the conventions. He even called some of us up. He knew I was getting ready to take over the marching band job at Jenks, Oklahoma. He said, hey, why don't you fly with me up to Whitewater, Wisconsin? They're doing a drum corps or a marching band competition up there. We can spend several days together, and I can tell you a little further about what to do. He mentored us.
Wow.
Outside of college too. And
That's
so, that was really great. But my father, the day I graduated college, okay, he had been calling me all day long his musical expert. For those out there that are out in Oklahoma and you knew my father, you knew that there was another shoe that was going to drop. Okay? And so I would not admit that I was a musical expert. Okay? Until after graduation, he says, well, I'm really hungry, but I'm only taking musical experts to dinner. And so I thought, okay, I'll bite. Yes, Dad, I will be your musical expert. He said, well, son, as I've always taught you, let's break the word apart to see what it really means. Expert. An X is a has-been. A spurt is a drip under pressure. How we doing now, Drip? And of course, I was crushed. He said, son, here is my point. All you have is 4 years of book learning and a few short weeks of interning in a school. That's it. That's all you got. You are by no means an expert. He said, and if you are granted enough life to teach for 50 years, you will still not know it all. He said, there'll be more to learn.
That's what we have to remember. Like, it's not about, we'll never know it all. And every year I teach, I'm like, I doubt myself. I'm like, I need to figure this out. I need to do more. And obviously there are things that we figured out and these work and these, but we can't just keep it that way for the whole time because, kids change and times change and technology changes and we gotta stay current.
His final words to that were, son, if you ever get to the point where you think you know it all, they might as well plant you 6 foot under because you are worthless to society. Nobody in society needs a know-it-all.
That's right.
And so...
Sounds like some great lessons from your dad.
Yeah, I got some really great lessons from my dad before he left the planet.
Yeah,
so,
that's amazing. That is really, really, really cool.
So, we had talked a little bit earlier about this being about the kids.
Yeah.
And the relationships. And as I listen to some of the other podcasts out there, I'm not the only teacher I know that feels about that.
Right.
But along the way, whenever you get to know the kids and you're thinking, well, this kid isn't working, or this kid is just not, grasping all of that. I go back all the way to my first year teaching in Hinton, Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. And emotionally, it was very draining from the standpoint that I lost a student, one of the students from my girls' PE class, because at that time we didn't have all of the categories of disabilities. Mm-hmm. And there was a 5th grade boy that ended her life. At that point, and to have one of my kids who's a 5th grader do that to another one, that was in my first year of teaching.
Wow. Yeah.
And of course, Dr. Jones was just right up the road. So
Yeah.
He had heard about it. He said, why don't you meet me for lunch on Saturday? We need to talk.
Yeah.
He helped me through that and all of that. And then as the years have progressed and other things happen, watching for signals from the kids that things are happening in their lives and getting to the right people. Of course, now we are mandatory reporters.
That's right. Yeah.
But
sometimes, you can, for me, it's when I see a kid who's just not the same, something's going on, I have to ask them about it. I have to, I make them come talk to me, and
And you have a good sensitivity for that.
Well, that's I mean, I think that's important as a teacher.
And there was a student that we shared. This student was during my years at Alpharetta. He was a freshman and sophomore, and a junior and senior during their years. And in the spring of his senior year, ended his life.
Yeah. That was one of the hardest things because
I saw no signals.
No, well, I did, and he would not come talk to me, and that's one of the biggest. I mean, I short of dragging him into my office to talk to me, it's one of the toughest memories I have. And part of the reason, in addition to other people who have lost their lives to suicide, that's why I raise money and walk and try to raise awareness, but it's very tough.
So I went to his memorial service, and what really got to me was that up at the front of the chapel was the picture of when he was a freshman, a sophomore, and we played at Carnegie Hall.
He had that experience with him.
And his violin was there. And when his mother got up and spoke about him, talking about how much he loved going to orchestra class all the time. Yeah. Now, what you have to understand about this child, he would be what most of you would call a terminal last chair player.
Yeah. I mean,
he never made it out of the 4th orchestra.
He's good,
Just good kid, liked coming in and playing and all of that. But I'm ashamed to say I didn't know that he loved orchestra class that much.
Yeah. But sometimes we get surprised. We just don't know when there's kids the reason they come to school is for our class. Yeah.
With that as a lead-in, some of the tricks I learned along the way, and especially these last 9 years whenever I taught at the middle school level, was to, as the kids come down the hallway and I'm at the door trying to manage everybody who's in the hallway, just looking them in the eye as they come in to see if I can spot anything. And there were always several students that I would know the minute they turned the corner. that either they had had a bad day or something happened in the class before. And so I would have what I call my emotional support staff. Okay? My emotional support staff was about 5 or 6 different sized stuffed animals, the biggest one being a big blue squishy that we called Fa-la-la-la-la. And certain students, when they would walk in, I would just say, here, take Fa-la-la-la-la, go to my office for 10 minutes, hug the stuffing out of him, and then come out and join the class. And for the most part, they would be better. But one of the favorites is the donkey. Okay? The donkey is if you feel like you've lost your last friend, nobody will talk to you, and all of that, then you don't even need to talk to me. You don't need to go get your instrument. You just go shake hands with the donkey.
That was great. That is awesome.
So, the story that I'll end with the donkey is, and this was at Haynesbridge Middle School where I finished off, come on, donkey.
You want to stop or no?
Nope. Oh, there he goes.
Okay.
He does have a stop button. So, I had this little fellow that I had in 6th grade. During the whole year, if he brought his instrument to class 10 times in the whole year.
You were lucky. Yeah.
For some reason, the information did not get to me that he was on the autism scale. Did not know that. And so I was going, okay, what do we need to do to solve this problem? What, you don't have it again? Type of thing. And I'd always keep a spare to hand to him. All of that. So it's about, October of 7th grade year. He walks in, and the minute he walks in, he's 10 minutes late for class to boot. Okay. Doesn't have his instrument. He's only had it 3 times.
Oh, that's great.
Since then.
That's great.
And of course, you don't have it again. No, sir, I don't. Okay. So he comes up to get the spare, and before he does, he grabs the donkey. He sets it on my music stand in front of me, facing me, and pushes the button. Okay? So we finish up with everything else, get ready to tune. He says, Mr. Fisher, I hope you feel better now. I think you needed to shake hands with the donkey.
Wow.
He understood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
wow.
he understood.
That is awesome.
And so, the kids are, we learn so much from them.
Yes, we do.
We just have to pay attention. And if you've noticed, we haven't talked a whole lot about technique on how to play or anything else. But until I know my kids, the technique doesn't matter.
That's right. That's a good point. Very good point.
Until they know you care.
Yeah.
They, and some kids we never reach.
Yeah.
And I said,
that's very. I almost feel hurt sometimes when I'm like, I just can't figure this kid out, or they don't want to be figured out. And it's like that's one of the things that kind of drives me nuts sometimes. Is I'm just trying to figure out all of my kids, and sometimes I just can't.
And that's a great lead-in. Okay. So in that same class, I had a little gal about this high, and I had never heard of selective mutism. Okay. Selective mutism is that a person chooses to speak only to a very small group of people.
Okay.
Okay. At the end of this student's 6th grade year, not only do I find out, and I've made every accommodation that I could for this student. I went overboard with other accommodations and all of that. I find out that this student is dropping orchestra.
No.
And I spent a lot of time invested in it and all of that. And then I find out in the meeting with all of her other teachers, I am the only teacher she never spoke to.
Wow.
I was crushed.
Right.
Absolutely crushed. Because I know when I've got a student that is this small and I need to talk with them, I'm down on my knees so that I'm either eye to eye or lower than them.
Yeah, sure.
So I don't,
Right.
So anyhow, we move on to the next year, and she's at every orchestra concert sitting up on the top row.
Just as an attendee.
As an attendee. Mm-hmm. And of course, this was the year that I was leaving. I did my last year of teaching. Mm-hmm. At the final concert, when almost everybody else is cleared out, she comes down to the main floor of the gym, motions for me to come down near her, and she whispers in my ear, "I love you, Mr. Fisher. Thank you."
Wow. You weren't expecting that. Yeah, you're
sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what that taught me was that even when you think you haven't gotten through to the kids, you have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have. And my principal knows all these stories.
Sure.
Okay? And so this was after this little gal came up, and she said, "Well, your dad said that as long as you're alive, you always have something to learn." Said, "Mr. Fisher, what have you learned?" And so I told her about this student, and I told her just what I told you. And she said, "Wow, I would have not even believed that."
Yeah.
Where I said, "Yeah." I said, "If I had to wait all this time for her to speak to me, it was worth the wait."
Sure. Sure.
So, for those of you out there thinking that maybe what you're doing, you get frustrated because you don't think you're getting through, you're getting through. You are getting through. Hang in there. Hang in there. Okay?
Yeah.
So,
what are before we wrap up here, what are some words of advice that you would give to maybe new teachers or teachers, because we have a lot of teachers who are considering leaving the profession now, and as sad as that is, it is a reality. What are some things that you might be, besides the things we've already talked about, be able to give to our new teachers or to
absolutely.
our teachers out there?
I've mentored, I don't know how many teachers through the years. I've also been the teacher, whenever new teachers come into the building, a new music teacher, I've been their mentor for the year and all of that. So my question is to you, if you're thinking about leaving the profession, who's been your mentor? Okay? If you've been in 5 to 10 years, who are you mentoring? Are you looking for those that you can spend time with? Our good friend Young Kim over at Johns Creek High School.
Yeah, amazing. He's an amazing teacher.
Amazing. He and I have not done it as often as we would like, but we used to once a week go out for coffee together somewhere.
Yeah, we did that. He and I did that several times.
Yeah. And Jim Palmer, when he was still teaching at Chattahoochee, every Friday morning, we met at 5 a.m. at Waffle House off of Exit 9 over there. And we would sit there and talk, and he would ask me about things. I would ask him about literature. No greater person to ask about literature than
he's
Jim
amazing.
Palmer. He's amazing on that. And so if you haven't found a mentor yet, that could be why you're considering leaving. You feel like maybe you don't have a friend you can go to. And my very first mentor I had, I'm sure everybody probably knows this name, was John Clinton.
Yes.
He's at Norman High School in Oklahoma, and I was told by several people, contact John. He is a trumpet player. He was a band person, has one of the best orchestra programs around.
Wow.
He kind of, sounds like you going into the field. And I got to have, dinner with John a few weeks ago when he came out and did the Fulton County Honor Orchestra.
That's right.
And all that, and we kind of reminisced. And then at the concert, a former student of ours, He had him in youth orchestra. I had him in my strolling strings group, and that's Dr. Timothy Verville, who's now right here in Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, it really, really is. And so the other part that's fun too is that when I go snooping through Facebook, finding all of my former orchestra students that are out there, seeing what they're doing now. You know, there are a few of them in the music field that are out there.
I mean, that's not our goal. If they do, that's great, but it's not our goal.
But the contact, you know, my wife and I were back out in Oklahoma. I think it was, this past summer.
Okay.
We walk into a Mexican restaurant in Yukon, Oklahoma, and the minute I walk in, there is this red-headed woman comes running up to me and hugging me. I was her 4th grade orchestra teacher.
Wow.
In Oklahoma.
And how many years ago?
Yeah.
A couple.
And she recognized me the minute that I walked in the door.
That is amazing.
You know, and to have those type of relationships with students, and to know that helping parents produce productive and responsible citizens.
That's right.
And to see all of those out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, if you're a new teacher, don't hide everything to yourself. Don't hide everything in your room. And by the way, it is not a weakness to ask for help. It is a strength.
Yeah.
It is a strength.
A lot of people are afraid.
Yeah, they are afraid. I know that whenever I was department chair and fast teacher in Fulton County for about 5 years, I could always tell my teachers who were having a little bit of trouble. They wouldn't respond to calls. They would not call me. They would not contact me with that.
Yeah.
And I could always bet that, okay, they're afraid about something. But it's not a weakness. If you know, I mean, take a look, I wasn't a string player. I had to go ask for help from a ton of people to get to the place where I was. And, you know, by the way, that, you know, we took 2 groups to Midwest.
That's right.
2006 and 2012.
Yep.
So, and in 2012, it was a full symphony orchestra.
That's right.
And John Clinton came up to me and Mike Walsh, the band director, afterwards. And he said, I've seen you guys work through this whole process. He said, I have not seen an orchestra and a band director get along like you two do.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say this too, like it's a very rare thing that was going on even when I took over even, and Mike was still there. Like once a week, the band would come and we would go there and do full orchestra once a week during class. It wasn't after school because kids were too busy after school. So we did it during class once a week, pretty much the whole year.
Yeah.
And that is so rare, like that a band teacher would be willing to give up his top ensemble for full orchestra. But we had that opportunity, and it was fantastic. The kids loved it, and everybody wins when you put that together.
But here's what he found out, and he knew, is that the orchestral literature made his wind players that much stronger.
For sure.
Made them that much stronger. Because, you know, we were putting, between the orchestra and the band, we were putting anywhere between 40 to 50 kids a year into All-State.
Yeah, there was a lot of kids.
There was a lot of kids there doing that. And those kids formed bonds. And, by the way, there were probably at least a dozen string players who either went in, whether in color guard or they were a part of the pit during marching season, which then increased that human bond in between them.
For sure.
You know, so, you know, and what I did, because being a former band director, I know what type of schedule and what those folks are going through, those guys and gals, okay? I did what I could to help make their job easier.
Yeah.
One of the things that I did was I wrote the script for the halftime shows, and I showed up at every football game, home and away.
I remember.
To do the announcing.
You were the
them.
announcer. Yeah.
I was the announcer. Plus, it gave me time with the band kids, because I'd hang out with them and we would talk orchestral literature. I would ask them, what have you listened to this year? What would you like to play? Of course, I had to know their capabilities.
Yeah.
And of course, one of the things that I had never conducted, and we finally had the horn section my last year, was Jupiter.
Very cool.
Finally, and we got to play that, and wow.
Yeah.
Did they ever play it? And then, you have to be careful with literature you pick too. There is always that thing about don't overprogram, but also don't be afraid to play something that is a little bit further up and to make them stretch. One of those pieces is Mahler's Adagietta, the original. That is a tough.
Yeah, bow control
all the way through. A couple of adjustments can be made, but probably one of the hardest things about it is the harp with it.
Right.
Because at the slow
2 against 3
adagio tempo, Adagietta, is that it is a hemiola going on at that point of 2 against 3. And most harpists have never played with a group before.
Right.
And so as far as staying rhythmically with a piece, and then you throw something that is a very slow hemiola at them. But that same year, that's what we did as our string piece. And wow, they brought me to tears. When we were at Carnegie Hall playing it, that day my second granddaughter was born.
Oh.
And we had been told originally that the birth was going to happen a week before. And then first part of March, we said, oh, no, it's on March 24th. The exact day we're on the stage at Carnegie Hall. So, of course, she's born early that morning. And they send me a picture. And right before we perform, I go up and down the rows and say, when you all play the Adagietta, it's not for you. It's not for me. It's for my granddaughter, Eloise.
That's really cool.
By the way, she's now 5 years into playing violin.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
As is her sister, Eleanor. But Eleanor was here before, and Papa missed Eloise's birth. But I do have the recording, and one day when she's old enough to understand that piece,
that would be great.
I'll let her know the piece that was played for her the day she was born.
That's a really awesome story.
So,
well, this has been so fun, and I'm so grateful that you took the time to come here and chat and tell your story and share it with everybody. But just a remarkable person, and just an incredible career, and changing lives, touching, making everything happen.
Well, thank you, and I feel blessed to have been alive this long, to be able to do that. And if it weren't for some physical limitations that I'm going through, I'll be honest with you, I'd still be in that classroom right now.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
But
the love is deep. Yeah.
Yeah, it is there. But I do have some judging opportunities that I'll be going out.
Great.
I've already had some people contact me about coming out and doing some clinics for them.
Wonderful.
And I'm still physically capable of doing those things.
Yeah,
so
that's amazing.
I'll do those as they come up. Probably one of my greatest joys right now is I play 6 hours a week at the Talbert Yilmaz Dance Studio in Roswell.
Wow.
Play piano.
You're playing piano for the dancers.
Play piano for the dancers. So it's 4 hours of ballet technique class, and then 3 hours of ballet and 3 hours of theater dance.
Wow. Okay.
So, it's my first joy, obviously, is playing piano.
Yeah.
I love playing piano. So this is not a job.
You just love it. Yeah.
I just love it.
That's so cool.
So,
very cool. Well, thank you so much again. And for everybody out there listening, this is our episode of 125, and we will see you all next time on the Orchestra Teacher Podcast. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for listening and for your support. Please like and subscribe.